I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Sermon Highlights. I'm here today with our pastor. And Pastor, you have just finished your sermon, which is the topic which was, why are you blaming me? I like that topic. Can you just share with us a few pointers, a few takeaways that you want us to get from the sermon that you've just preached?
Sure. I chose that title, Why Are You Blaming Me? From the case study of Genesis chapter 3, verses 12 and 13, when God went searching for Adam and Eve, and God was asking them what had happened. And Adam took the initiative of blaming Eve and indirectly blaming God because God gave him Eve. And then Eve went to blame the devil or the serpent, as though, again, undergirding the fact that God created everything. And so neither one was taking responsibility. And yet in a marriage, here's a husband blaming his wife for his decision.
The blaming game.
The blaming game. And so it's never stopped since creation. We tend to blame people for things that go wrong in our lives. If it's the government, we blame them. Or if it's the system, we blame them. We blame the church for this, or the school system that, or the president for this, or the president for that, or our parents for this, or our siblings for this. Or we blame our situations for some of the decisions we make. And so I believe that God is moving us to be more responsible. The theme for this year is putting God first.
Yes.
And if we're going to put God first, then we must take responsibility for our actions. And so within the narrative, I wanted to highlight a few points. One is Adam should take full responsibility for his decision.
Right.
Adam, like Eve was deceived by a serpent. Yes, she did wrong by entertaining a thought, entertaining a conversation with the serpent, which questioned and doubted God. As a matter of fact, the story says she quoted to the serpent what God commanded. So she was well aware intellectually what God required, but she wasn't willing to surrender to what God required. So that was mistake number one. Adam, on the other hand, did not have a conversation with the serpent. Eve actually became an agent of the enemy because the enemy didn't show up to Adam. Adam was well aware of the decision he was making. And so he chose to suffer the consequences with Eve than to obey God. And that gets us into a lot of trouble.
Wow.
And so the test is typically for all of us. Love God supremely and love your neighbor as yourself. So it was a test of who's supreme. Will God be supreme, or the gift that God gave Adam, which was in Eve? And it's interesting, and I wanted to highlight that Adam chose to suffer the consequences with Eve, and then thereafter he still yet blamed Eve for his mistake. And sometimes that's how human nature are.
Yes.
How we act. We do something wrong with somebody or for somebody, and then we say, it's because of you I did this. It's because of you I'm in this situation. However, we never stand back and say, I made the conscious decision to do X, Y, and Z. But what I love about this narrative, and I just praise God for it, one is, it is God that went looking for them. It is God asking, where are you? It is God asking, what did you do? Seeking for confession. And when they said what had happened, what I love about the God that we serve, that in Genesis 3:15, God provided the route for salvation, that his son would come and bruise the head of the serpent. And yet after God provided the salvation, then he came back and told them the consequences of their sins, which he gave them hope. Yet you have hope with the consequences of your decision. We all will face the responsibility for the consequences for our actions, but God reassures us of his love that salvation is still sure, even while you're living out your consequences. We serve a good God.
Wow. So he reassured them even then, before punishment was given.
Exactly.
Wow.
We serve a gracious God. So grace is not a New Testament phenomenon. It started in Genesis. So we have
right
God.
there.
It's right there. Grace is always extended.
Okay, so Pastor, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming back here and sharing with us those highlights. And powerful sermon today. It was a powerful sermon. why are you blaming me? Because we always play the blame game. We always playing the blame. That's the first thing that comes to mind. When there's something, when we have done something wrong, we're always looking for somebody else to blame apart from ourselves. And we see where it starts, from right there in the garden. So I want to thank you for coming back here and sharing with us, a few points, a few highlights from the sermon today. Thank you very much.
I enjoyed it, Doc.
All right.
All right.
Cool.